All right, everyone. I know we are readying. We're just making sure the live feed is good. And you know what, Bethany? I think it is. I think it is. So I'm just going to jump right in. It's 12. Maybe people took lunch off. Maybe they're on their phone. I just want to honor their time. So let me do a quick introduction, everybody. Hello. I'm Chris L. Davis, the founder of Automation Bridge. And for the last decade or more, have been helping emerging enterprises, is what I call them, of various sizes, automate their operations to increase their operational capacity. And this can range from marketing all the way to distribution and fulfillment and everything in between. I have a host today, Bethany Nonami, who will be aiding me in communicating clearly the value of understanding the state of automation for businesses. Bethany, would you like to introduce yourself?
Hey everyone, I'm Bethany Nonami. Super excited to be here because I am a nerd at heart and I understand how important automation is, but I also understand how overwhelming it can be. So I'm super excited about this conversation because I think this is something that many of us fall into this category of we buy things, we piece together things, and they're all disconnected and they're really not helping us. So, with the goal that they were supposed to help us be more efficient, and now we're drowning in tech. So, I cannot wait to have this conversation because this is what I nerd out about, and it's my happy place. So, I'm so excited to be
Yes,
here.
yes. So speaking of that, it makes me think of how did we get here? Like how did we get to this point with the abundance of technology and ease of adoption? It seems that it would have been more beneficial than harmful, but I'm experiencing the opposite. And I want to share a graphic that we can look at and kind of use to talk about this trend. Now, I've shared this on LinkedIn. If you guys are watching on YouTube or anywhere else, make sure you connect with me on LinkedIn. These go out frequently, and I'm always expounding and using visual aids to help communicate some of these more complex ideas. And what we see here is you see this black line that is kind of like a hockey stick growth, and there's a star. There's a star, and that star is essentially cloud computing's takeoff. So before cloud computing, you see this yellow shaded area. Software for your business was done through CD-ROMs. So you see CDs and licenses. Okay. So some of you, I'm not going to say if I am, but some of you are old enough to know that you used to be able to go to the grocery store and along with your groceries, buy the internet. You would literally have an AOL disc right at the checkout. It was an upsell, everybody. Get you a candy bar and take the internet. So you got both, right? Well, we've since then moved, and when you think about licenses in the point of these larger companies, enterprise companies, I can call out Salesforce. Salesforce was they were the originator. They're the OGs. They were the first to put software into the cloud. But prior to that, you had to install it on a server. You had to go locally and install the software on a server for businesses. Can you imagine how long it would take to adopt licenses or adopt software in your business when you got to wait for the IT person to come, install it, check it on all devices? I mean, it's crazy compared to now where cloud computing said, hey, what if we put those servers in a remote location and just call that location a cloud? It could be a desert somewhere. It could be anywhere in the world. We'll just call it the cloud and let people know that you can now see it and access it from anywhere. So if you didn't know what cloud computing is, that essentially is putting the servers that run software on in remote locations so that now people can have more access to them. Well, when that happened, what you'll see is the evolution of technology curve. It just really hockey sticked up, right? The second cloud computing became more of a mass adoption, you started seeing platforms. I mean, Google was early in the game with Gmail, but you saw platforms like Dropbox and I remember having my first Dropbox account. Like, wow, I don't have to have a thumb drive. If you don't know what a thumb drive is, it's a thing that plugs into a USB port and it had data and you had to do stuff
Oh,
on
we're not that old. Like, don't say that.
it. well,
That's
well, here's the thing, Bethany. There's a lot of
oh
young marketers and young founders, and they're like, thumb drive. Why would I just not just put it in a box or Dropbox or Google Drive or So, anyways, the evolution of technology in cloud computing has been the source of that hockey stick in the evolution of technology. Why am I talking about this? Because what you'll see at that blue dash line is what I call effective marketing. This is the amount of marketing that you needed to be successful. And you see that it hasn't changed. It has not changed. Bethany, this is the hardest piece, is that to be effective in marketing, you actually don't need to do that much more, but technology has given you much, much more. So now the gap between what I need and what technology gives me is widening and widening and widening. And what people are saying from when I was working at Active Campaign, I would hear this a lot, and I've heard it through the various tech companies that I've worked with since then. They'll buy a platform and be like, "I'm not even using it to its full capacity. There's so much more it can do, and I'm not even leveraging it." It's because of that orange area, that star that says we are here. Is that technology is now provided us with so many capabilities, so many options that it's a an abundance beyond what we actually need to be successful, to be effective in marketing. Just capture leads, follow up, qualify, close. That complexity has not increased, the technology has. So that's what
yeah.
is I would use that as kind of like our framing today, with under giving our context to this is how we got to where we are right now and how we navigate it, right?
Yeah, because I think it's interesting as it doesn't matter if you're a small business owner or you're an enterprise. The
Hmm.
the it's so much easier to implement software. Whereas implementing software 20 years ago, it was a heavy lift. Like you had to buy hardware, you had to buy software, you had to train up your team, you had to have
Yes.
consultants come in and install it and configure it. That goes away. But the challenge now, and I don't know if you feel this is different, Chris, I think the challenge is we've overcompensated with too much tech. And now automation is hard, but we're not tapping into the potential, which means we don't even get the real visibility or the power of what we bought in the first place. So do
Yeah.
you see that the ease of getting one package to solve one problem is actually hurting us? Or is there a way that we can, how do we solve this problem then? Because it's easy to just buy a program that's $100 a month or $10 a month to solve a problem. But now your tech bill is like, Jesus, how do I have so
Yes.
many subscriptions?
Yes.
So how should we be thinking about this if our job has a problem and we know we can Google it and find a tool to solve that problem?
Yeah. Yeah. It's you're pulling me into the all-in-one conversation, which I have a slide for that too. But
Okay.
it speaks to this exact. I'm glad you mentioned it, because this is what you're really saying is that how do I solve my problem and not have so much tech that I'm not just underutilizing it, but I'm overpaying for it, right?
Mm,
How do I just get enough, and how do I make them talk, Bethany? How do I have them share the data in a way that's cohesive? Now, this, believe it or not, is where the all in one came from, right? So a lot of people hear all in one and they're like, oh, yuck, all in ones. You need to be integrating in this, and that. And I was one of them. I have to raise my hand. I was one. I mean, I fried the all in one. But when we're discussing the state of automation for businesses, the all in one is a very important piece, because how it has morphed over time is really indicative of where we are, right? So you started in the beginning. Where's my slide at? I got another one for you guys. How about this? So when we started, and the x-axis is just over time, right? In the very early ages, there were two platforms called Infusionsoft, maybe you all have heard of them, and Office Autopilot. Office Autopilot had a little baby brother sister company called SendPepper that was just email marketing. I used all of them, right? Back then, these were the only options for marketing automation, sales, and anything that you would do with digital marketing and sales online. This was it. And in terms of a cohesive package. Back then, I'm going to date myself, everyone. If listen, let me say this: if you're listening to this and you're an OG marketer, I just need you to like, comment, do something somewhere to let me know that you get it. There were tools like this: authorize.net, one one shopping cart. Was it one? Yeah, one shopping cart, right? There were email autoresponders like Aweber and Constant Contact and MailChimp. Those were the only options. Now, Bethany, when you went to try to tie in one shopping cart to some email marketing platform, there weren't webhooks, there weren't direct integrations, there weren't if this then that. Right? There was none of that back then. Remember, technology had not evolved, so the all-in-one bundled integration. It bundled it. So I did not have to look elsewhere for it. It was all in there. I can send an email and then see that person open the email, look up that person's contact record, see their phone number, give them a call, put a note that I've called them, and then mark that they are a customer, all within one platform, Infusionsoft, Office Autopilot. So at that time, there was no integration to even think about. So when what we have today, which I'll get to, is the abundance of tools. The problem didn't exist because the technology hadn't evolved to even give us the option. And you know, with people, uh, there's a saying: you want people to go crazy. You want them to truly destroy themselves. Give them options. That's it. Just give them more options. We'll be overwhelmed. We'll either die by analysis paralysis or by doing too much. But you know, being disciplined and in between is tough. So, anyways, what you see here on this chart is you're seeing Active Campaign and Zapier. And this is important because Active Campaign, and we're talking small business software right now. I understand the enterprise landscape was totally different around this time. Salesforce was the dominant one. And there was a point in time, I think right around the same time with Active Campaign and Zapier, that they partnered with Pardot. And we'll talk about that partner and why they did that later. But essentially, Zapier and Active Campaign, they were a bundled. Many people don't know this, Bethany. They were a bundled solution. When I first started using Active Campaign, it came with a free Zapier account. It was yes, yes, revolutionary at the time. I was like, oh my gosh, because Zapier was integrating, Zapier was leading with integration. Now you can start to integrate with these platforms. Let me date myself again, everyone. Now we're talking about the state. To get to the state, you have to understand where we came from. Zapier, believe it or not, used to only be able to have one trigger and one step in a Zap. Can you believe that? That
Wow.
was it.
That's crazy.
You set up a Zap and it did one thing and you were satisfied. We were like, oh my gosh, I put customers into this platform. Yes. Right. No multiple steps, no branching, none of that. Right. So Active Campaign bundled, instead of Active Campaign taking on the brunt work of integrating directly with all of these platforms, it said, we'll just partner with Zapier. They do it. And now we've got integratability. That's a word. That is what
Mm.
started to drive the adoption of the all-in-one down. Again, I was part of this curve. I'm like, look, you guys, take the best of breed of tools and just tie them together and create the system that you want, right? So that worked for a time. And now here we are today, Bethany, back where we started, appearingly, right? Because we've got platforms like Keep that has rebranded from Infusionsoft to Keep. They're two totally different products. I know it's a rebrand, but it's really like a reintroduction of a new product from the same company. And you have platforms like Go High Level who are really driving this. Hey, look, after all this time, we tried to get away from the all-in-one. It wasn't the all-in-one. It's the idea of it wasn't bad. It was the integratability that was hindering you. Because if you wanted to actually get another tool outside of your all-in-one, it didn't plug and play well. So now
Mm.
what I would say is We're in this day and age where we have the integrated all in one. How about that? The integrated all in one, which means you get an all in one platform and you're anticipating it does all of the basic stuff. If I need something advanced, I will go and integrate into it. That's what's changed. So when I say basic stuff, guess what, Bethany? We're still at that line, that basic line of effective marketing. Now they're saying the all in one could always do that. It could always do that. It just made it hard. Now it's easy because the we've got an open world of automation to where you can plug and play in. Now, as you mentioned, with such power comes great responsibility. And now we have people that companies that are just grabbing software solutions. And the problem is this, Bethany. This is how we solve it. It's almost like telling somebody to go to the grocery store and they're new. You like a nanny or somebody came, or an app that somebody comes to your house. Hey, I'll go get your groceries. And you're like, you know what? I don't even know what kind of groceries. Look at my neighbors and see what they're using. That neighbor looks healthy. Oh, that neighbor's always walking and smiling. And they got a lot of kids. We got a lot of kids. Look up what they're ordering and just order that, right? So they go to the store and do just that. Come home, bring you all the groceries, and they leave. Thank you. Good job. My job's done. And then you look and you're like, why is there so much meat? We don't even eat meat in this house. Where's the greens and vegetables, right? Because you were so busy looking at what everybody else was doing, what you really needed to do was sit down and have somebody come in and consult with you. Hey, how is your family structure? What do you guys eat? What do you not like? How often do you eat this? What would you like things to look like a year from now? XYZ. Well, that's what's not happening in tech right now. People are literally going and buying solutions because great marketing or bad marketing because they're lying, or good marketing because they're telling the truth, influences by people. You go to events, live events, everybody's like, this tool changed my life. So they just think it's the tool when they really need to reel it back and have somebody understand their business context, their strategy, and their acumen collectively, not just one person on their team. Collectively, how do you all move as a unit with respect to technology? Is it fast, slow? If I introduce this tool, is it going to cause more confusion than clarity? Right? That's the piece that's missing, Bethany. So it's almost like you're giving people licenses to drive, guns to shoot, with no training, no mandated training. It's the wild, wild west out here.
So what do you do then? So you're not in the wild, wild west,
Yeah.
like firing at things that you shouldn't be because you don't know how to use the tool. So what do you do?
Yeah, you first thing that I and remember, I'm looking at this through the lens of automation. The first thing you have to do is understand, where do we start? Where does this thing start? And I have to I have to raise my hand and admit I have been a user of sloppy language when it comes to just communicating what automation is. And here's what I mean, Bethany. I would say things like, hey, automate your business. And really what I'm saying is automate your marketing, because that's the lane that I was playing in, right? So what I will propose to people now, let me pull this up, is that this is really where we're at. Welcome to the wheel o automation. Okay. And you'll see various departments in this graphic. We've got IT, HR, marketing, finance, sales, engineering, accounting, support, distribution and fulfillment. You have all these areas, right? Well, the question is, where do I start? What areas are the most important, critical to get started? And today, for understanding the state of automation where we're at right now, is that we really need to be specific. When we use that word automation, what precedes it? We're spinning this wheel. What department, what word, what uh, qualifier is coming before the word automation? It could be marketing automation. Spin it a little more. It could be distribution automation. Spin it some more. Sales automation, HR automation, right? So we need to first understand, where do we start? Well, I've highlighted them in green for you. Marketing, sales, and fulfillment. Those are the three. I've got distribution up there. But those are the three areas that you start. Now, Bethany, when we're talking about how to best leverage those three, the first thing we're looking to do is streamline the manual processes that make those things work. And I'm going to super simplify this for everyone. Marketing, capture, nurture, qualify. Capture, nurture, qualify. Capture, nurture, qualify. Those are the three primary jobs of your marketing. And if your marketing does that, your sales is going to be extremely happy. What is sales role? Reach out, close, reach out, close, reach out, close, reach out, close. This is it. I'm oversimplifying this so everybody doesn't get all caught up like these tools are doing magic. It's doing reach out, close. And in reach out, I'm presenting my offer. I'm presenting my offer to who? Qualified leads, because my marketing did the qualification. So now I have qualified leads. I just need to present, and once in present to engage and then close, right? Now, once I've closed the lead, clearly I have to distribute or fulfill on what I just received monies for, right? And here's what happens, Bethany. Here's what happens. The hardest one on here is marketing. Everybody starts with, if you think about it, everybody starts with sales. Why? Because if you have a product or something, most people could just tell their friends. To post on Facebook. If you're just getting started, you've got an inner circle of people that will just buy from you just to support you because of who you are, right? No marketing. Your marketing was essentially, hey, I have a thing. Do you want to buy? Right? And they buy it. So that immediately puts you in fulfillment, Bethany. So those two, sales and fulfillment, those are the easiest to get started. So those are actually the areas that I recommend looking at first. Because if we go to marketing first and start pouring some gasoline on some lead gen and you can't close and you can't fulfill, we just created a problem. So you have to understand the areas that you're looking at first and then which one to start with. We have to get away from a boilerplate approach and templated tools. We have to speak specifically and say, okay, start with sales. Sales naturally flows into fulfillment. Once I have those two down, now let me go work on my marketing. And I get it. We can like juggle and chew gum too, right? Like it's not sequential. You could be working on them all at the same time, but the primary focus should be in that order. That's how you will help yourself from overcomplicating this thing and getting too deep, too quick to the point where you have too much.
So where do people start then? Are you starting with the process? Are you starting with the gaps? Where do you start then?
Yeah. You where I exist, right? This is my company, and if somebody brings us on, the first thing we're looking for is profitability.
Okay.
Meaning, is what you're doing working? And if it's working, that's our first good indicator, because the next question is how well. Right now, most people can't even answer that. Is it working? They're like, I don't know. I hope so. I think, right? So you have to know that. In order to know that, we're really going back to a age-old problem that existed then that still exists now. We're in the state of automation today is that we're still struggling with our data. The majority of companies are still struggling with data capture, data storage, and the leveraging captured data. They're still struggling with those three things. They don't know how to get them to the platforms and the teams that truly need them. In fact, another one here. This is what I was trying to communicate with this image here, is that it doesn't matter if you're a small company or a large company. Guess what? You have the same problem. And that problem is data. Bethany, I have talked to large enterprises, mid-sized enterprises, small startups, solopreneurs, small businesses, every size. Guess what? It's the same problem. It's the same old problem. Data access and data usage. It may be framed in other ways, right? Like, oh, we're siloed and we're trying to be more synchronous. We want to be better at marketing our product, blah, 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 blah. At the end of the day, it all boils down to the use of data. Now, if you're asking, so where do you start? You have a person like myself come in to assess your business. First off, let me just say this: you've got it. You need somebody that's been around the block a few times. Okay, no knock at Upwork or anywhere else, but usually, I'm just being honest with you all. Usually, when you get work off these types of websites, they are people who are capable if you're willing to let them learn on your behalf. But what a lot of these companies need is somebody that's been around the block, that's seen a few things a few times, a few years in a row, right? To come in and help ask those pointed questions. That's the first thing. It's really an assessment. It's like a check-in. Like you're going to the doctor and you have the opportunity to go to a doctor who's been practicing for 15 years or one that just got out of high school, well, dropped out of high school, but is passionate about helping people heal. Good on you for your passion, but I'm going with the person who has 15 years of experience. So in that, you also realize that somebody like myself that has many years of expertise, I know what questions to ask for, and I'm listening for certain things. So you can't tell me, oh, I've got it all, it's all working. Because my question is, okay, I'll give you it's working with an asterisk. My next question is how well? And then when you start to ask that, you start to uncover all of the inefficiencies. So we can't start, Bethany. We can't start without identifying the inefficiencies. Because without understanding the inefficiencies, the holes, the gaps, the bottlenecks, you would think everything is okay. It's like having a disease with no symptoms. I can come and tell you, look, that disease, you about to die in 10 years. You like, bro, I can run faster than you. I eat healthier than you. And I have no symptoms in my body for me to believe that I will die in a year versus somebody whose knees are failing. They can't, every time they get up, they're nauseous, right? Like they're going to be more prone to listen. And that's the difficulty. Sometimes we get these false positives all because you don't have the right person asking the questions and helping you assess the primary three areas of your business and listening for those key words to help you navigate and say, okay, you're going to, I hear you. Good job getting started and producing some results. Would you like to do better? Right? That I always ask that question, Bethany, because some people don't want to do better. They just want to tell you how good they're doing. Okay,
Right.
I'm that ear. All right, go on to the next. But most people are like, okay, how can we improve this? That question is the beginning, Bethany. That is the beginning.
So can we talk about data for a second? Because I
Mm-hmm.
feel like for some organizations, they're so focused on output that they're
Yeah.
missing the value of data.
Mm.
So do you feel like can you explain to me why you think data is important?
Oh yeah, yeah. So I'm gonna use a relationship analogy to drive this one. Okay, everybody likes to connect, correlate marketing with relationships, but say you're in a relationship with somebody and you feel like they're cheating on you. Let's go the other way. You feel like they're being faithful. You feel that this person is in love with me. I don't know. I can't describe it. Just when we're together, I just feel this way. It's just how it is. Now, introduce data, and somebody comes to you and says, "Hey, check out this cell phone. Is this your partner's number?" "Yeah, that's my partner's number." "Oh, okay. Check out this video footage. Is this your partner at 1 a.m. last night at my place?"
Oh,
Possibly, right? "How about this? Let me give you another data point. Let me call your partner. Hello, hey, we had a good time last night, blah, 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 blah," right? Now, with data presented to you, if you decide to continue to believe that that person is faithful, that's on you. Without the data, I can't fault you though, right? I can't fault you, nor do I have any means of even saying, something's wrong. All I know is that you told me because you're convinced in your own right, your own will, your own feelings, this is the way it is. Now that may seem like, Chris, where were you going? That's how we approach business. We do something, we'll put up a landing page, we'll send out promotional content, and we feel like, yeah, that's it. That's gonna work. And we're not measuring it. The broad measuring sticks are, hey, did your contact database increase? Right. But when you go beyond that and you're starting to look at, okay, we ran 3 ads, which one was more effective into which audience? And let's start to figure out why. You can't do it without data. Right. So data is really the time saver. Everybody talks about use automation to save time and do less, get more done with less. Bethany, can I say this dangerously? Is automation simply the automatic movement of data? One could make that argument. And if you were to make that argument, you will find yourself on the right side of the argument. Automation is the automatic movement of data between platforms. If data wasn't important, we wouldn't need automation. Data is everything. It checks us. When it checks our gut and our heart, when we feel away, when we don't know what to do, it guides us. It's important enough that everybody is seeing the rising cost of software and everything included, because storage of data is becoming more and more expensive, or I should say the amount of data collected is becoming more and more. Now, here's where I would say people are struggling the most. If you could collect the data, you don't know how to use it. They have no idea. Bethany, the amount of people that I've gone to, I'm talking about companies, not solopreneurs. You go to a form that they're using to book a demo and they're not capturing anything, right? Or if they are capturing things and you go through with the form, go through with the demo, they're asking you the same questions that they just captured. You're not using the data. You're not leveraging it to qualify. It's the accurate leveraging of data that creates the efficiency that we really want. And once that data is identified and understood of that's what you need, now how do I get technology to handle it, to manage it? That's really where automation comes in play. So without the data, we're really dead in the water. Now, if you go back to traditional marketing, TV commercials, big banners on the freeway, highway. We used to catch the bus and be able to put quarters in the bus and go places. That bus stop used to have big banners. Well, usually those phone numbers are trackable. If you ever go to an infomercial, feel free to go to that URL and just look at the URL. It's the longest, ugliest string of characters because that's all of the tracking content in that URL so that they can then inform themselves how we're doing. In a nutshell, data is the feedback. You do a thing, data comes back and lets you know, it closes the loop. This is how it worked. This is how it's performing. Bethany, there's nothing I can do. As great people can, Chris, oh my gosh, he's automated this, he's done this, he's helped us amass this, da 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 da. I can do none of it without data. None of it. Not a single thing. I can do activity and like hope that it works. But at the end of the day, without the data, there's just not much we can do, not really anything.
Mm.
So
Okay.
let me share this though, real quick, Bethany. Let me share this because I want everybody to understand we're not talking about one size of company. This is across the board. I just had a conversation with somebody that worked at a large corporation that does data tracking, collection, analyzing for like huge restaurants across the globe, right? Well, when you talk to the people in that company, the handling, the management and leveraging of the data is practically inexistent. Now, you wouldn't think that because they have contracts with other corporations that say You're going to be taking data we give you and putting it into a report and sending it back to us along with data from every animatized, right? Data from other companies to let us know how we're performing against the industry mean. Now, how could you even offer that without being able to properly collect and manage and maintain data? Well, listen, you can. And they're doing it. And what it is they're just a instant away, a data breach, a hey, somebody got the wrong report and now they know what their competitors doing, lawsuit, all of these things away. So though it may feel like, oh, we're fine for now, the inevitable outcome is on its way, right? But I highlight that to say I was shocked for one, because that's almost like saying you're a basketball player that can't shoot. If your company provides the service of collecting, measuring, and analyzing data, and you're not managing that data correctly, I'm talking about they're not single sign-on doesn't work. So now when someone signs in from one platform, clicks a button, they got to create another login and they can't manage that, right? Like these are all extremely straightforward, it would seem to us. But companies are still
Mhm.
struggling with this, Bethany, like big companies.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, the whole thing is a struggle.
I agree.
Technology is a struggle, data is a
Yep.
struggle, automation is a struggle, finding value in the data you have or getting value out of the data that you have, even trying to figure out how to monetize that better.
Yes.
Like all of it, it's just all a lot.
Yep.
Um,
Yep. Absolutely.
Regardless, if you're small and you have a very small team, your team's not an expert in this. If you're large, you have teams that are very specialized. So you need all of different pieces of people's brains to like come together with one thing. Like it's just like your picture. It's a little struggle or it's a bigger struggle.
Mm-hmm.
Pick your struggle.
Mm-hmm.
It's a lot. It's a lot.
It
Like
just is.
luckily, people like you love it, and your brain, the way your brain works. We've had conversations and I've seen like your engineering wheels turn, and not everybody thinks like that. So where we're stuck in,
Yeah.
if you've ever seen that, there's an image for an entrepreneur and it's like, you think the path is like this, and it's like literally the
Yes.
spaghetti ball of noodles.
Yes.
That's how we think. But your brain can see, okay, I can unravel these pieces of the spaghetti ball, lay them all out, and be like, okay, this goes here, this goes here, this goes here, this goes here. And not everybody thinks like that.
Yes.
So I'm grateful for people like you, for the people like me that are like, here you go. This is what we have. Well, why do you have
Absolutely.
three CRMs? I don't know why I have three CRMs, because this one does this, and this one does this, and this one does this. He's like, well, they all do them.
They all do it.
No.
Yep.
So, I mean, I think this is very common, super common.
Yeah. Yeah. I agree. And the hardest part, let me tell you, um, the hardest thing is convincing somebody who's content with their good that they can achieve great. That's just the
Mm,
hardest thing. And of course, you use the data to do this, but oftentimes you'll have people that will be listening to something like this, and they'll be looking at their bank account and saying, "Well, we're doing pretty good. I mean, sure, we could automate some things here and there, we could tighten up some stuff, but we're doing pretty good." Those are the hardest people to help. They really are,
mm,
because they need an emergency. They need a failure to give them that kick in the butt to actually streamline and become more efficient. The people who are winning right now are the people that understand I'm profitable and I have inefficiencies. That's a
mm,
that's a big statement, Bethany. There's some awareness in that statement. There's some um removal of pride in that statement. So there's some humility there. There's some understanding growth. There's some desire to never settle, right? All in there. But when someone says we're profitable and we're inefficient, that's like ding, 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 ding.
mm.
Like I
Yeah.
love that statement because you're ready. you're ready to remove those inefficiencies. And if I were to tell you the cost of them and the upside, the cost to the what they're costing your business right now, and once removed, what they would be putting into your business, it would be a no-brainer. It would be a no-brainer for that person to say, okay, let's figure this thing out, you know?
So do you find that do you think people know they're not efficient? Or do you think people think they're doing the best they can with the tools they have and they're efficient enough? Because
Yep.
I don't know if do people actually come to you and say, we're profitable and we're inefficient?
Very
So
rare.
can we be more profitable?
Yes,
Because I don't
very
feel like,
rare.
I think that's a very woke person.
That's what I'm saying. That's if you hear that, and I'm just like, come here. Don't go anywhere else. Don't talk to anyone else. Usually, this is what it looks like. Things are working in one of those three areas: sales, fulfillment, or marketing. Things are working well, and it's usually on the sales and fulfillment side. So what they'll say is they will have nervousness around certain things. So because they're nervous around the tech, they'll go hire a tech VA. And because that tech VA isn't reporting any problems, they take that
Mm,
as we're good, right? So most of the time, these companies have a bunch of false positives in with respect to process and people. So it's hard for me outside of the box to yell that you need help in the box. So what I often have to do, Bethany, is come in the box. And
mm,
I don't do this in a shameful way. I don't come in the box inside of the company and try to expose anybody. That's not the goal. The goal is not to be, look at how terrible your VA is. Oh my gosh, is this your ass person? They don't even know basic math, right? That's not the goal. The goal is to come in and actually give them the tools that they need to succeed at
mm,
their roles. So I don't come in and look for holes. If I do spot one or errors, I'll pull that person to the side. And by to the side, I mean an individual Slack message, right? Like
yeah,
it's usually not physical, but I'll pull them to the
yeah,
side and then I'll say, hey, look, these links have been broken for 5 years. Are you aware of this? And usually they're not. So I'm not going to be the whistleblower and go to the founder and say, hey, look, 5 years, that person right there, who knows where it generated? Who knows why it's that way? I don't want to deal with all of
right.
that. Let's fix it. Let's fix it. And then here's what happens, Bethany. Here's what happens. When I say let's fix it, that's not me going in and fixing it. It's me showing them exactly what to do. This is extremely important because once they do it, they really
Mm,
own that process. And it's not just that they own the process, all the accolades that come from it being right rightfully goes to them. And I just sneak out the
right,
back door, right? But
right.
what happens is at the top level, the founder, all they know is, man, ever since Chris came on the inside, I realized this isn't an issue anymore. I didn't even realize we didn't have to put up with that. Oh my,
Mm,
wait a minute. You mean to tell me we're sending automated XYZ now? I thought we'd have to get a whole new platform. Da, da, da. They start to experience it. It's like going to Costco and getting a little sampler. That's usually what I have to do is come in and just remove a couple inefficiencies by way of instructing their team. And then after that, Bethany, now they can unfog that mirror. Now they can see themselves clearly and say, oh, I guess I didn't wipe my eye. I got this big old crater here. I got this pimple here. Why you didn't tell me I got this crust in the corner of my mouth? And it's like, I was trying to tell you, but you had that foggy mirror telling you was perfect and you look just fine. So now you see things like I see them. So that's the hard part
right.
is that my lens is always at a level of focus more granular than them because that's what I do. It's my industry. If I take my car to the shop, of course the mechanic will be able to see more than me. And I trust
Yeah.
that he or she is correct. But here's the truth, Bethany. I'm probably not proactively taking my car to the mechanic. I'm waiting for a light up, check engine,
Mm,
low oil, whatever. So I get it. I'm not here to be like, you guys aren't thinking proactively what your business is. You don't really want to grow. I get it. I get it. You don't know until a light comes on. But what if somebody could just come in and before the light comes on? Just say, hey, look, I know you've been trying to drive across the country, and every time you do it, something happens. Just tweak this and you'll be fine, right? You'll be able to get
Right,
to your destination that you truly want to.
right, right. So where do we go from here?
Let me share. This is a good question because I was thinking about this. I was thinking about this and I was writing this out. This is the evolution. This is the cycle for every business. I don't care what industry, what type, whatever you're doing. This is you're in here somewhere. Somewhere you're here. You start out trying to become operational. That's a blanketed statement for get things to work, right? So you need to get things working. Once they're operational, the next step is to operate profitably. Okay. This, Bethany, is where most people will just stop because they're fine. Their goal was just to make money. And now that they're making money, and if it doesn't hurt a whole lot, they're fine right there, just right at that line. You'll see this, that vertical dash line is tech. So on the right side, we've got manual. The left side is automated. Neither one of those mean 100% automated, 100% manual. You're just more manual on that side and more automated on the other. And what you'll find is that people will that profitability is very comforting, and it should be. It should be definitely. But once you start to move over to automated and profitably operating, now things change, Bethany. And I'm gonna make a statement here, everyone, for the state of automation right now, just so you know where we're at. Your tech stack that you used on this right side that was primary manual is more than likely not going to be the same tech stack on the left side for automated. The tech stack will flip. There are there's some software sets that need to remain manually governed. They're set up that way. They don't have an extensive API or any way to tie into other tools. They don't care to do things automatically. They want to be there and say, hey, you come use us. Have a person use us, right? And then when you go over and say, all right, but I don't want to have a person do that, I want to automate it. You start pointing your finger at the software, getting mad at it. And the software is like, look, we never said that we could do that. Case in point is Zoom. I had a post on LinkedIn lately said that Zoom is not for webinars, automated webinars. That is, if you Zoom is on the manual side. If you run a webinar with Zoom, you definitely can. You can be profitable. I've done it. I know people who've built their business around it, right? They're on the profitably operational side, Bethany. Take that same person and say, okay, these webinars have been so profitable. We want to run more of them now. And we want to automate some of them so like people can attend without us having to be on. Try it with Zoom. I'll wait. I'll be here till all of my hair is gray. I miss out on my kids' weddings and all. It will never happen. Zoom is not that platform, and that's okay. That's okay. It's not a downplay. Zoom is a great platform for what it is: meetings and webinars and enterprise. If you don't need anything too automated, some basic integration with like HubSpot, Marketo, and things like that. But if you're looking for something more dynamic, hey, I want to run this as if it's every Tuesday and it's me, but it's not me live. It's just me on there recorded, but I want the chat to kind of look like it's me, to give them that. You're not going to be able to do it. And that's what I'm saying is that your tech stack changes as you move to that left side, Bethany. And people need to understand this. The biggest thing of when you ask the question, what do we do? Where do we go? What's next? You have to know your location. This is a very simplified image, but you have to know where you're at and what it takes to move from one quadrant to the next. Many businesses struggle crossing that line, Bethany. Many of them struggle. The reports, I can't remember. I'm creating this number, but I have it in a LinkedIn post and I've attributed the data. But it's somewhere around the line of 73% of companies are still struggling with implementing technology. And of those, like 92% admit that digital transformation will have a big impact on their business. So it's like, I know I need to do this. I just don't know how to, right?
And I'm looking at this graphic and I know my tech line started in operational. It didn't start like I didn't start implementing in profitably
Mm-hmm.
operational.
Mm-hmm.
I was trying to solve problems with technology in operational way
Yes.
before profitability.
Yes.
And I don't know. And now I know for big enterprises, like they don't have the same profitability struggle as a small business, and they want to be efficient. But I'm
Mm-hmm.
wondering how many people cross that tech line where you're saying they should.
Yeah. Yeah. So here's the thing. And this is what I love about it because I'm familiar with it. It would drive other people crazy like me. Accounting is my Achilles heel. Other people are like, I love looking at the numbers and the models. Okay. So I love understanding that the amount of tech that you use in the manual side of things is going to be variable. So you and I are similar in that respect, Bethany. I started out with tech on the manual side. I've never been fully manual. Never in my life have I gone out with a clipboard, signed people up for a thing, and then went home, put their information in, right? The beginning of my business was a landing page. I started with the landing page and I posted on Facebook and things like that and got people to opt in. So that was a basic form. But after that, there was a lot of manual emailing back and forth. When it came to create like my first course, they didn't have it drip fed and all of this stuff didn't exist back then. So it was a lot of manual creating and then like doing some of the courseware live. Some of it I could record. Then you couldn't control when people came in that they would kind of start on their own. So you're managing this whole thing. It's tech, but I'm managing it manually. Now on the other side, I'm not doing anything. The tech is managing everything. The metrics, it's capturing metrics at certain points within the program, reporting back to me. It's sending me indicators. Hey, somebody just signed up. It's been 30 days and they haven't completed the first lesson. I'm not doing any of that, Bethany. But again, I'm on the left side. On the right side, you probably have an operations manager, a VA, education director that's overseeing all of that. And they're the ones plugging in the data, extracting, oh, somebody didn't fill out a form. Let me email them and let them know we need this form filled out by today. I'm not doing any of that anymore, right? Because I'm on that side. So when you are on that manual side, the manual side is really representative of there are people in place that if they weren't in place, the process would break. That's the manual piece, right? So you could have a little bit of technology, but if it requires me, a lot of people send newsletters. They go in or create the newsletter, hit send. Well, it requires a person to do that. If that person is not available, that newsletter can no longer go out, right? So when you're on the manual side, you have a whole bunch of that. You have a whole bunch of, hey, Sally's out for a couple weeks. How are we gonna get this done? Right? A whole lot of head scratching and person searching on Upwork or any other platform. So this is important though, because that gray one that I have colored, this is where I exist. This is really if you were to say, hey Chris, how did your company help anybody cross that line effectively? Take your processes that are profitable and understand the level of technology that can be introduced and the level of automation you can achieve. Bethany, I'm not here to tell everybody you should be automating 80% of your business. No, in today's industry, you need to automate as much as required to sustain what you have. That's where you start. If you want more, let's talk about that. But I'm very, very reserved at doing actually, it's not even reserved. I'm adverse. I don't do it. I can't remember the last time I have. If you haven't done the process yourself and you haven't seen the effects of it on your business, there's no need to automate it because all automation starts manual. This is what this graph is showing you. You're gonna everything start. You got to know the thing. You got to know what to do and know the thing that you did worked in order to
Yeah.
successfully apply technology to it. You know.
And I guess it's the same. If I look at it from a sales hat, it's the
Hmm.
same thing about us hiring sales reps and saying, go sell my stuff. I want you to target this industry. This is
Yep.
what I sell. Go be awesome. And you can't. Like it's the same thing with automation. Like, what are you automating? And is it working? And if it's not leading to sales closing, people increasing their average cart value, whatever the thing is, then what are you doing?
Yes.
You just you're automating what? It's just so many things that you think the conversation is about automation, but it's really not just about automation. It's
Yep.
data, it's
It's
process, it's
there. You go.
efficiency,
Yes.
it's strategy, it's how are your tactics. All of
Yes.
these things affect the effectiveness of your automation,
Yep.
which
Absolutely.
is crazy town.
And with that being said, I know we're approaching our hour mark. I just want to
Yes.
drive these these uh these ideas home. These two facts. And one is the industry has changed, everybody. We are no longer in a, oh, marketing automation, oh, sales automation. Automation has become localized to the platforms. It is available in pretty much any software now. Automation and AI are almost synonymous. And I had a podcast interview with Clayton Mask of the co-founder of Keep, which will be launching soon. And he mentioned how they acknowledged that they indexed too hard on marketing automation in the beginning. It was fine for that time, but the true value was automating across the primary areas of your business: sales, marketing, and your service. So I've used service, fulfillment, and distribution. They're all synonymous with me. So what we're looking at right now is this is what automation looks like. When we say we're trying to automate our business, I hear those. How are you approaching those three areas? Because software is now coming along supporting this method, right? Just look at it. Salesforce is a CRM software. They've partnered with Pardot to handle their marketing automation because they understand they're separate. You can go to HubSpot, ActiveCampaign. You can go to all of these platforms now. They're decoupling their offering. Well, why didn't you just keep them all together? Because marketing has different needs than sales has different needs with respect to automation. So now here's if you need marketing, here's if you need sales, here's if you need service. This is live right now. Go to HubSpot, go to Active. You see it. It's bundled. It's a bundled approach. And they're saying you may not need sales. Maybe your sales are somewhere else. We'll handle your marketing. Right? So we have to understand this. This is where we're at. This is it. I had a friend reach out to me and he was using Salesforce and say, hey, how do I send messages to everybody? Whoa. Slow down. Slow down. Salesforce is a
Why?
sales
Why?
CRM. It is one-to-one communication. Okay. You can get a saved response and have some merge fields populate an email, and you can click that email 10 times to send to 10 people. But no. You're thinking marketing. That's a whole nother platform. You now need to integrate with either HubSpot, Pardot, or something like that to get the contact data and then perform marketing in an automated way. So we
Yeah.
have to know this now, Bethany, because this is where we're at, everyone. It is no longer a broad statement of automation. We have to really start to specify the area, because based on the area is going to determine the tool. And it may not be the same tool for both areas.
So, Chris, before we wrap up, what do you do and how do you help organizations? Because I think we've talked about a lot, and I think it's clear that you add a lot of value, but what do you actually do?
It's simple. For me, again, I told you prior, when someone who has a profitable business realizes that there are inefficiencies, those are the telltale signs. And what I look for this is in what I call emerging enterprises. So you're not startup just getting started trying to figure something out, but you're not scaled to the point where you've got so much politics and red tape that you can't implement a basic piece of software without going through IT to get it approved, or then have to go through procurement and all of these things, right? You
Hmm.
can take sound advice, expert positioning and feedback, and actually put it into place, right? You can actually act on the advice that's given. So that's what I say when what I mean by emerging enterprises. But we're no longer, for the life of me as a professional, it's been all about marketing automation. We now understand, Bethany, we have to widen that scope. We have to widen the scope to all three areas at least of the business. So we look for and help the most with companies who have something in place. They have processes, and they're trying to do things in a more efficient way. They're trying to lighten the load on their humans, on their human resources, and increase the load on the technology available, but just don't know how to do it. How do I blend these people and tech in a way that can execute? And right now, a lot of companies are struggling with webinars, Bethany, honestly. So that's what I've been helping companies of all sizes, by the way, startups, enterprises, all of that, just getting a digital video presentation of what we do down, right? But again, it goes back to I've got profitable processes, and I have an existing team that has helped me get those processes profitable. We're looking for somebody to come in and remove these inefficiencies by way of applying technology intelligently so that we can achieve higher automation, which in return will give us bigger operational capacity.
Okay, that's our time.
Yes.
So I love
Yes.
how do you make your graphics? Do you make those graphics yourself?
I think so.
Like the graphics that you showed?
Oh, the graphics that I showed. Yeah, I do make those.
Yeah.
These are my whiteboard notes. I've got years of these just hanging around, and I just decided to start digitizing them and tell the story that way.
I like them. I love them. I
Oh,
think they
okay,
make so much
great.
sense. So I think they're great. I have seen some of them on LinkedIn, and I think it's great that you it just makes sense. I think some of us learn visually,
Yeah,
and I
absolutely.
love them. And I think
Yes.
you're just there's so much on LinkedIn that's just like blah. So I love them. I think they're great.
Yes.
I was looking at
Appreciate
him. I
it.
was like, how does he do that? I can't get that
Yes.
stuff out of my head. Like that's not how my head thinks. That's not how my brain thinks.
Yeah, that's all I see is when people are talking images. So, but
Now, real quick before we drop off, if
yes.
anybody is watching this and it's not live, if you have questions for Chris, you have to tag Chris in the replay. Otherwise, he's not going to see it. So, LinkedIn is this weird place with
Mm-hmm.
LinkedIn Lives that the events kind of get lost
Mm,
if they're not in your history. So, if you don't save this event, you won't be able to find it again. You can always find it if you go back to Chris's profile and where it says content, there's like posts, videos, you can go to events so you can see it there.
okay.
But if you have questions for Chris, there's a couple people that posted questions. So if you can go back, you might want to just respond to them. If you have questions for
Will
Chris
do.
after the fact, make sure you do the @ sign and just type Chris L. Davis, and then he'll see it. Otherwise, they won't see it. And I know you don't have questions for me because I didn't talk about anything. So this was fun. I'm so glad that everybody showed up and you hung out with us. And if you look at Chris's shirt, you have to automate responsibly.
Please, everybody, please. It's the least you can do. All right. And Bethany, thank you for co-hosting this with me and asking the questions and guiding me through, because I understand this stuff. I can get deep quick, and I wanted to
Yeah,
make
yeah,
sure
yeah.
that we stayed at a level that is applicable to the most of the people watching.
Wait,
Listen, everyone.
Chris.
Go ahead.
Oh,
Go
go
ahead,
ahead.
Bethany. I was just
Didn't
gonna
you
say
say
I'm
you were
reachable.
doing? Oh, he's reachable. You can
Yeah,
find him on LinkedIn. But Chris, weren't you talking about doing something about automation, like make? Don't you have something coming up that you were planning?
I
Do you
do.
have that
I
mapped out
do.
yet? Okay.
It's in the works. I'm sending an email out later today, but the other part of this is that if you I come into a corporation and they do have hands, they have people who could do it. Sometimes those hands need better tools. They need training on how to leverage the most cutting edge technology to perform better automation on behalf of their client or company. So we're priming a series of toolbox webinars that will equip
Mm.
these operators and automation professionals with the acumen of understanding how to leverage some of the most important tools. And one of those will be make.com. So if that's you, if you're a technical operator, automation service provider, ops manager, and you want access to that, just shoot me a DM. We'll send a link. We're actually going to be running it next week, depending on when you're watching this. So yeah, that one's in the cooker, and it's about 10 minutes left to go before it before it's ready for mass consumption.
Yeah, I really was impressed with Make, but I got very overwhelmed because I feel like we've been stuck in Zapier for so long, or
Oh yeah,
Zapier, however you say it. And then I've seen some really cool things with Make that just I don't do podcasts because I don't feel like editing it. And you
yeah,
can see these things where they're like, oh, you record a podcast and you put it in a Google file and it's looking
yep,
for a new video. So it takes it and edits it and does all this
yes.
stuff. And if I had that built out, I might not be so resistant against doing a
There you
podcast
go.
again. But I don't know where to start. So I think there's incredible opportunity, but it goes back to like, what gap are you trying to fill and
Yep.
what's not efficient?
Yeah.
So it's one of those
Absolutely.
things, but it seems like it's really cool.
Oh
So I
yeah.
definitely want to check that out on Make.
It's funny because I've been running an automated podcast process for years, right before people were building this stuff out in Make. And you're absolutely right. Make has just really opened up the world for more possibilities. And here's what I'll say. I'll say a word of caution for the people in overtime with us. I saw somebody post one of these big Make graphics in a Facebook group, and then I saw some people on it. Oh, I'm going to try this. Now I know some of the people that said I'm going to try this. They have no business trying it. You will not achieve what you saw at all. You won't even come close. You may log in, see a circle, and be like, "Okay, maybe I'll do this later," which really speaks to the need of the people who can understand it and comprehend it. They are the people that need to be handling it. And the important thing about what I do is it's kind of like the For Dummies series. It was like small
Mm,
business for dummies. Everything that I
yeah,
do is through the lens of automation, and it's from a marketer's perspective. So I'm not going deep into code and all of this. No, I'm giving you the bare minimum that you need to be effective in automating those three areas of the business. Right? We don't need to be professionals at this stuff. You have people that hear that and like, oh, how could you not understand arrays and all this tech? I don't care about none of it, Bethany. I just know I have tool A and tool B. Data needs to get from A to B. And I want you all to be able to get inside of these platforms and do that effectively
yeah,
for the sake of your clients and yourself.
yeah. No, that's super exciting. So I'm gonna watch out for it. Are you gonna post on LinkedIn or
Oh
is
yeah.
this like a
Oh yeah.
private thing?
No, 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 no.
Okay.
It'll be posted on LinkedIn. Again, another reason, make sure you all are connected with me. Send me a DM or just ask on a post, tag me anywhere. I'm on LinkedIn daily. So it'll be there. If you're already on my email list, you'll get that email later on today as well.
Awesome. Well, I had a blast. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Again, if you have
Yes.
any questions, tag Chris. He won't see it. It'll get lost in LinkedIn land. And good luck in your
Yes.
automation, productivity, efficiency, all the things
Increasing your
journey.
operational capacity. Yes, all of it. Thank you so much, Bethany. Everyone who joined live, thank you. Everyone watching the replay, thank you as well. See you all. Automate
Thank you.
responsibly, my friends.
All right.